Hey Jace, what are we doing?
We're going on an adventure.
Where are we going?
Pizza Hut. Hey, my name's Jace. I'm the community manager at Coffee Stain Studios, and today we're bringing you the update number 2, Trains and Nuclear Power, to you all so you can enjoy it. We're going to be doing something a little different with the patch notes and the feature highlights. We're going to be going on a bit of an adventure as we tell you about what's coming. So in the spirit of Trains and Nuclear Power, Snoot and I are going to take a train to a nuclear power plant. Now, if you're not really interested in the adventure, there'll be a link in the cards up above and in the description below to just the Patch Notes website, so you can just read everything there. But we think this adventure is going to be a lot of fun, and I hope you want to join us and check out a nuclear power plant. Hopefully, we don't know if they're going to let us in. So the first major feature that's being added in this update is going to be the trains, of course, aka the electric locomotive. So of course it runs on electricity, which means you don't have to add fuel to it. It's really fast, it's really fun to drive around. It has a high capacity. You can keep adding freight cars to it as much as you want. So it's super useful in that sense. There is one downside, however, is that it is expensive. You have to create all of the train track pieces yourself, and they're expensive, but in the long run, it's usually worth it. Trains need to stop somewhere, of course, so we've also added train stations. The cool thing about train stations is they can be powered with electricity. They then send electricity down the train tracks, which power the trains, but they also power other train stations. And then if you have, another train station at an outpost, you can then use the power from the train station to power the outpost. So you don't need like another coal generator or anything like that. So it's really cool. You can think of the train tracks kind of like power cables. The other thing is you can also name the train stations, of course, to make things easier when you program the automation for your trains. So for your train to transport cargo, you need freight cars, and so you can add as many as you want to a train. And then to load and unload those freight cars, you need freight docking stations that are attached to your train stations. And so if you have 10 freight cars, you can have 10 docking stations, and they will all load and unload when your train stops at a train station. But perhaps you don't want to load and unload all of your freight cars at every train station, and so what we have are these empty platforms that you can put between docking stations. So for example, if you have 10 freight cars at one station, you may have 5 docking stations which load and unload the first 5 freight cars. But at the next station, you put 5 empty platforms and then 5 docking stations, so that at that station, it load and unloads the last 5 freight cars. So you have a lot of control on how you want to do this, and you can get pretty creative with it. So we've also added switches to the game, and what they do is they split the train tracks so that different trains can take different routes. And so after you program your trains, they automatically figure out the switches so that they can reach their destination. So we've also revamped the end game areas, the red jungle, the red bamboo fields, and the swamp. And I'll leave that up to you guys to check it out yourselves. So we have some new upgraded buildings available. The Miner Mark III is now available, and it is twice as efficient as the Mark II. And the Conveyor Belt Mark V and the Conveyor Lift Mark V are also available, and they transport up to 780 parts per minute. So you can now combine bauxite with silica to create aluminium, which will open up a whole new world of possibilities, like soda cans. And so now here we are at the last part of the journey. We're driving from Gothenburg, 50 minutes to the power plant, and Snoot's little baby over here. Don't people kick the tires? Isn't that a thing? If you kick a tire, then it's like a good car. I don't know how this shit works. So believe it or not, I'm here at Ringhouse, nuclear power plant, and that is because, of course, we are adding nuclear power to the game. The nuclear power in Satisfactory creates massive amounts of power, but the trade-off is nuclear waste, which you need to find a solution to store and move away because it is harmful to your player. There will be hazmat suits for you so you can hold things, but that won't solve the mass amounts of waste that you may create. The input for nuclear power plants will be fuel rods, of course, graphite-tipped fuel rods. What? It's cheaper. Money doesn't grow on trees, all right? And so that's the end of our adventure today. I hope you really enjoyed it. We did not think that we would be able to film or get near the nuclear power plant, but one of the employees there was gracious enough to show us a safe location that we could film because it is a protected place that you are not allowed to film. So that's really, really awesome. So if you enjoyed our update video here and our little adventure, consider sharing and all that sort of stuff, and I'll catch you next time. Okay, bye.